Oh, sweet Jesus. We are they're going out of business. They're going. Oh my god, I hate. Oh my goodness, I think I've found something as worse than Impact Wrestling. I mean, I could review 2011 TNA Wrestling, and I would at least say, hey, it was good matches. At least they did a segment. At least they're focusing on the story. I can do that. AEW is like the other than what happened over in the final segment of the show, actually revolting in a conclusion that MJF is having a faction. That's the only thing I'm paying attention to. The only things that were important that happened tonight was, of course, Scorpio Sky gets his predictable title shot loss against Darby Allen for the TNT title. I mean, he's got to gain momentum somehow. He just tagged and won a match with Sting, so why have him lose in his first match back after Revolution? So it makes sense. I just feel like there is barely much that I can pay attention to. Why is Ethan Page out of all the guys you could have signed? Tessa Blanchard could possibly be available. James Storm could have been available. We don't even have Thunder Rosa as an official part of the freaking roster. We opened with Matt Jackson versus Ray Phoenix, and it was nearly the same match that I saw I think nearly back in 2019 over who's the better, weaker link tag team partner. It was like a back kick. The sharpshooter obviously not going to get tapped out. A Canadian destroyer off the outside. These guys were just doing the same moves. Like I haven't seen Ray Phoenix versus one half of the Young Bucks before. Super kick, but at least it didn't look because of course Phoenix makes everything look fluid. It wasn't like their match back at Revolution where against MJF and Jericho. At least Jericho and MJF could sell it decently because I know not a lot of boys gonna bring this up because I remember one YouTuber saying, and I won't bring up his name out of respect because I'm not gonna just try to call him an idiot. He said that you not liking the Young Bucks is a phase. Like I am a young kid, and thanks I listen to the internet of guys that are experienced wrestlers or casual viewers that think that's silly means that I just don't understand the Young Bucks. These guys are probably nice guys. I don't really care about them as a person. I'm just saying in the ring, these guys are predictable as all hell. They do the same 17 moves. It's incredibly perfect and choreographed. It gets slugified and doesn't feel like they're telling a story every time they do a spot. They can barely even sell a leg injury and they'll still go over doing a super kick. It's just not believable. Ray Phoenix comes with his little knee strike a sit out driver. And it was it was a decent match, pretty decently fast paced. I liked the move, but there was no story involved. SCU was looking up because I guess they're their next contenders for the tag team titles. Even though Pac and Phoenix won their battle royal back at Revolution, I forgot. I don't really care. Why is SCU still here? Next up, we got Seth Gargis against Cody Rhodes in a squash match. Cody can't face anybody to get anybody over on the roster, so he has to just face off against any random jobber to illuminate that he's going to be still a top guy for no reason, even though he just lost to a basketball player. And it's sad too, because you're technically getting the most pyro and screen time and promo time, and yet guess you still can't pull over 1 million over Shaquille O'Neal on free television. You guys are with a terrible business mantra that I hope Tony Khan actually learns over. Because you can't run a soccer team, you can't run a football team. You obviously can't run a wrestling federation that is completely scripted. Cody wins with a figure four leg lock. There was like barely any moves going over on the outside. Cody just had a squash match for a squash match, so you made sure that so your top guy is barely even projected, especially over when he was TNT champion. He's still facing off against these random jobbers. Why have him over on squash matches? Penta El Zio Mero comes around with a translator over on the broadcast booth, so I don't know what's wrong with the Death Triangle, because usually it's Penta and Phoenix that tags with each other, and yet he comes over calling out and saying that he'll break the arm of Cody so bad that he won't even be able to lift his little girl. And that was at least a personal jab. I don't know why Penta is heel now, just to call him out. I mean, it's cool, I guess, because at least we know that Penta and Ray are singles competitors out of no transition. Because last time we saw Penta, he was getting jumped by, I think, the Butcher and Blade. And now he's just feuding with Cody. I hope the match is going to be good. I really don't care about the little show that they have on Monday. They even have the stupid segments involving Orange Cassidy and Chuck trying to challenge Miro and Kip into an arcade smash. It's these corny little freaking Chuck Taylor looks like more of a gamer than Miro with his little beer belly coming around wearing a Philadelphia 76ers jersey. And Orange Cassidy, it's like the biggest minimal CCW main eventer garbage indie schlock that is really bad. And we got the freaking Dyke Order coming around. They're not the Dark Order. Just call them something else, because they don't treat themselves like a cult. They don't have those vignettes anymore. Like they're trying to get wrestlers to join their faction. They're not with this cultish figure, and thanks to Brody Lee, there's no intimidating force into this. They're just all skinny, fat midget jobbers coming around harassing Hangman Adam Page. I don't care if they come with a swift heel turn later, because they already proven themselves to be less threatening. And it comes around later with, after I just took Matt Hardy's money, I just bought myself a lawnmower, donated, probably bought a prostitute. Why? I thought you're married. That's the reason you buy a prostitute. And, oh god, it's just so bad. Then they come around just hopping around on the lawnmower. It just feels so Bush League, and it just doesn't. It's like imagine the Dungeon of Doom get bullied in on the beach, even though they're supposed to be feuding with Hulk Hogan. I keep calling them that because that's what they are. There's also Matt Hardy. It's like there's still money, but I bring another tag team group. Even though technically the Private Party's still face, but now he affiliates with freaking Butcher and Blade now. So I guess the association with the Butcher and Blade and Eddie Kingston is now out because he's babyface because he saved his friend. And you think a guy that's been in the streets, like I don't want to bury out Eddie Kingston because he's one of the best talkers I've seen out of the indie scene. It's good to see him on free television where you can at least see more of his estimated work. With obviously calling out John Kenny Omega for a dud or like lackluster pyrotechnics because even though his friend came out, he really thought that the ring's gonna explode. Calling it lackluster even though it was a near death experience, and I guess that's okay because at least these guys have history. I guess I'm not that compelled to really watch these guys in ring because I know they're gonna just have a tag team match because that's all AEW can book for because they can't think of their own unique wrestling stipulations to actually tell more of a story. We also had Sting's to god all ego Ethan Page against Lee Johnson. They also had a backstage segment involving over QT Marshall because if you guys didn't see the tag team battle royal on Sunday involving the Natural Nightmares, QT Marshall, after eliminating I think one half of the gun club, got in a bit of an argument with Dustin Rhodes, and he walked away. So it seems to be some deception on the Nightmare family. Do I really care? No, QT Marshall, some scamming fat midget loser bush league jobber. I don't know why I should care about this substitute teacher mid Carter. And they just had this. This was worth a commercial. You're supposed to pull over. By the way, what's so big over a guy over in the ladder match? That's a notable tag team mid Carter. Nothing's that big over with Ethan Page other than he used to be fat. Now he's just a regular guy that probably works at a Kmart when they used to exist. And that's what he looks like. Oh God, Ethan Page. He just looks like a swerve show turned Catholic. Oh man, just look at this guy. This guy looks like he probably still steals library books. He ended him with some Razor's Edge ripoff. There were so many sleeper holds. Lee Johnson, they tried to give him a name, a real freaking nickname. I forgot what that was. It just looked so bad. The match dragged over for that long. Other than like, there was one time he was trying to rebound off, and he ended with a freaking with selling the knee. Then Ethan doesn't target over the knee. They don't even go over the style of wrestler he is, or where does he come from, other than he wrestles across the world, and of course he scratched and clawed. Like, it's really bland. I don't. What makes him all ego? Other than he talking crap, he has no charisma. I don't like a guy that says that he's the best guy in the world. Like, you give him something like all ego, and he shows no charisma. That bugs me. Like, if you're trying to make a quiet, badass character, I can understand why he doesn't talk that much. But if you try to make a guy that calls himself all ego and he has no charisma, I think there's a problem. We also had Sting's promo, of course, addressing over his victory over in the street fight. And giving him a congratulation to Sting, and Lance Archer being like, oh, it's going to be my time. Yeah, it's going to be my time. So it looks like they're going to do a future program involving Lance Archer against Sting. And now, technically, Lance Archer's heel again? After constantly helping out the Death Triangle over the last couple weeks until he got in a match with Rey Fenix. That was a wasteful main event. You could. This is so dumb, and it just shows no avail of interest because we obviously know Sting's possibly not gonna get that over. Lance Archer's already like forcibly pushed over to the mid card after we literally like put him over, like multiple squash matches him and had him feuding with Moxley for like a month, and then he does nothing. No, I don't think he even feuded. He just had one title match with him on Dynamite one time. That is so underwhelming. Now I don't even know what's a legitimate threat for him now. He's like, hey, Stinger. Oh my god. I think Jake the Snake Roberts is like one of the four other old people that want to kill themselves, then be on AEW Dynamite. Next to Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone, and possibly Taz if he isn't that enjoyable to listen to. Like, if you guys don't even listen to clips of him on Dark, the guy is hilarious. Other than that, oh god, I just feel like this show is like lacking any sort of enjoyment. There's also Christian Cage coming out. We also had Kenny Omega, and well, it started over with Kenny Omega, Don Callis, and jobbers coming around talking about the finish to the death match, complaining around Eddie Kingston being hard, mocking them being dry humping and being in a sex position, even though they 69 each other. Visibly, they didn't even just verbally say it to actually make it funny. And Eddie Kingston coming around and he already started jumping them with I don't think even Moxley came in after he said he got his back. They even did like they even did a clock for until they can kick their ass. Like, that was funny. So the Good Brothers came in to bring the numbers gained. Christian tried to come over to help out after a quiet little face to face with him and Kenny Omega after the entire altercation. And it ended with an attempt on the kill switch. And of course, because I've watched Christian for a lot of years now, of course he broke out of it. Because the heel always got to break out of the move that rarely gets a near fall, a 3 count anyway. So it looks like Christian wants to target the world champion. At least they're bringing up Christian to be a legit free agent that wants to target the world champion, and he's going to be a full time wrestler, so it's going to be important to watch him. So I can at least get over that. I don't even care about that segment. I thought it was super corny. I don't mind Christian because at least he can actually be a legit without Edge there. But other than that, it was an okay segment. I don't really care. It's really forgettable. Other than Don Callis looking like a failed Jewish porn director, coming around looking like he's a sleazy car salesman. Looks like he possibly DM'd some 16-year-olds on Facebook. Coming around just 69ing the world champion, making him feel like more of a mid-carder. I'm just saying, man, it's not that funny. There's also a six women tag for, I guess, some grudge. We had three weeaboos. Oh, let me tell you something about. Oh man, I want to tell you about Ryu Mazunami. Mizunami. She effing sucks. She keeps like hyping herself over, doing these whack, weak-handed chops like you hate whenever you watch an Indies match, and instead of like doing one hard slap over to the chest, looking like your opponent's barely trying to grasp her air, she just does it rapidly. So faintly, it looks so fake. Comes over, oh, charging. Then she does a clothesline. It's not over. Nobody knows who this chick is, and she comes around nearly beating the women's champion. Why? This isn't legitimizing the women's title. It's still irrelevant. Thunder Rosa came around after having a one-on-one with a small Japanese girl named Maki Ito. She picks up the victory until Britt Baker came with a crutch and assaulted her with Vicky Guerrero and Reba helping out, so Rebel helping out. So that's technically it. The match was short-handed. The only thing that was cool was that corkscrew somersault from frickin' Thunder Rosa. I could barely care less about the rest spots of the little Joshi wrestlers that can't get themselves over. One looking like Okada, one looking like some cosplayer's wet dream, and one looking like she has a crescent moon for her face. Like I don't mind Hikaru Shida. People only like her because they're weird perverts that like looking at her workout videos. That's all that's all I care. None of these chicks have any interest. I don't know why Britt Baker, that's a freaking heel. I understand she has a grudge feud with Thunder Rosa, but none of these chicks are that ambitious over for chasing the title and not asking why do I need these freaking tournaments? Like you have a top 10 system. Why do you need tournaments still? Like God Almighty. Next up, we had, I guess, one of the better matches of the night. I have to say, I actually enjoyed this match involving uh, Scorpio Sky versus Darby Allen. I thought it was decent back and forth, targeting over the leg after I think he tried to slingshot himself back inside the ring until that backfired. Then continued to target on the midsection because, of course, he can make freaking skinny ass Darby Allen look like a slinky. Jim Ross has actually gotten his voice back, so he was better vocally. A decent German suplex. The best move of the night was, I guess, that coffin drop that turned into a freaking sit-down powerbomb off Scorpio Sky. He was trying to go for his TKO until he got a successful small package. Pretty decent match. Realistic finish. It wasn't like consistently back and forth like indie schlock after indie schlock. Basic match, and we got a decent heel turn after, I guess, Scorpio Sky turned heel after targeting the leg that was caught injured earlier on in the match. So at least we got a heel turn out of at least one part of the SEU, or I don't think Scorpio Sky is part of the SEU anymore. And Darby Allin still keeps up with the world title, but I guess his feud with Team Taz is done because this guy is heel after Darby literally tried to show some respect to his opponent. Basic match. Like I actually didn't mind it, and I didn't mind the finish. And I have like one question: How mega niche is this company? This is like real. Like, how niche is it, bro? You guys can barely lick over 900,000 viewers. Sure, you can like expedite that. Television is dying as a mass medium because of course more people are vocalizing over to streaming. But how else are we going to actually visualize interest into who's viewing the product? I understand pro wrestling is dying as we speak, but dude, there if people could still watch freaking Judge Judy, the news at some points, even though you technically don't have to, and sports, cartoons, HBO. Certain people still watch certain like Comedy Central or any other networks, and they still pick up decent viewership. I'm sure some person's gonna be like, "Oh, Shaquille O'Neal's there. I'm gonna watch Dynamite. You guys don't know how to draw. You don't know how to make your stars over enough because you guys keep over fluctuating over talent, all because you can, and they still can't get over because it's a remnant to just only entertain the most nichest insider group of your fan base, and it's not expanding your business. Tony Khan is this much of an estrogen-filled twat midget retard that possibly dresses up the nicest for a cat funeral. Like, I hate Tony Khan for this. Let's just head over to the ending of the frickin' show, because Dave Meltzer, I don't account him as the most viable journalist because he never had experience with the business. Sure, he has a long history in education and research watching it, but I don't think he gets all of what the jinx was. And plus, there was a lot of audio f ups over most of the show. Like every time they cut over in the promo, it feels like they're missing over a sentence because they cut off where it looked like they were heading for a commercial. So of course we head over to the final segment of the show. The closing segment was of course the press conference involving the changes that are happening over the inner circle. And it was technically supposed to be a coup off MJF turning the inner circle against Chris Jericho. Sammy Guevara comes around with a camera showing what MJF was planning to do and try to uh, turn the inner circle against him, like everybody else was thinking. So it comes around not looking good because of course these guys are villainous characters. So you have a villain trying to turn a heel turn on the heel faction over a babyface result. So Sammy Guevara is back in the inner circle. They all try to jump on MJF until the lights turn dark. MJF says that he built a faction of his own. It involved FTR, Tully Blanchard, and Sean Spears. So only two guys are good. Well, is the other horseman Wardlow? Is that our fourth horseman? I like Wardlow. I don't know why Sean Spears is there. He's only called the chairman for just dangerously beating it's like hitting a terrible chair shot on Cody where he possibly could have got a concussion. So that's technically that. It ended with Jericho getting bloodied with a hit with the dynamite ring. Then getting powerbombed off the stage. The entire inner circle was cooked. We were hitting chair shots and everywhere. So it looks like a heel faction was jumped by another heel faction, or technically they want to make Inner Circle feel still babyface because Jericho got jumped off MGF's It's completely turd style garbage. It could have made many other things like MJF. If MJF was doing the whole persuading thing, involving all the unfairness going around the heels, why wasn't he just talking to these guys to begin with? And we could have wasted weeks on that than this whole inner circle garbage. And people were suspecting more over most of this. Like, okay, MJF, a younger guy taking care of this young group of factions out of Chris Jericho. And then you let this garbage happen. This War Council segment was complete ass. In my opinion, I just feel like AEW was freaking mediocre. Like a 4 or 5 out of 10 would be sufficed for this piece of garbage for only one decent match, a 6-person tag that nobody cares to see, and literally no main event level match. to end over a decent story except a final segment. That he has a heel turning over a heel faction. Like a lack of logical points come over all this for your pay-per-view. And a crap way how to sell over your spot, like, we didn't want Kenny to get hurt. Like, shut up, Don Callis. Jesus. He just sucks ass, bro. Kenny sucks. The segment was weak as hell. I guess the only thing that's new is that MJF got a new faction. That's the only thing that's new. Other than that, that's practically the review. If you guys like me just going off on this freaking episode of Dynamite, please like, comment, subscribe. Still want to retake back 40. I understand some of you guys are, on and off, but I'm always here to please. So thanks for watching. Old or new, always love a viewer. That's it for me.